You are now tuned in to Go Time Dolphins with Charlie Touche and Kadeem Simmons, the Miami Dolphins podcast that's for the fans and by the fans.
Gotta make them lose their mind when it's your time. And it's showtime. Going all out when it's go time. Go. I ain't wasting no time. Gotta make them lose their mind when it's showtime. Cause it's your time. Lay it on the line when it's go time. Go. Don't waste no time.
After a few days break, and I think obviously for everyone who follows us on social media, they will know why we took the break. If you don't follow us on social media, at GoTime Dolphins on Twitter and Instagram. But yeah, we obviously didn't have our usual midweek episode. We felt that everything that happened to the Bills player Hamlin, we'll just take a few days away to reflect. Kind of didn't think it was quite, I don't want to say necessary, but football was the last thing on everyone's mind, and wanted to pay our respects to a player who, from what we're hearing, is making a full recovery. So, first and foremost, our thoughts are with Hamlin. Glad he's doing better, and yeah, that game between Buffalo and the Bengals was a scary fixture, and just a reminder that this game, the sport we love, the sport we record a podcast on, it's dangerous. It's extremely dangerous. Charlie Touche, how are you?
What up, bro? What up? You good?
Yeah, I actually am. I really am good. How are you?
Yeah, man, I'm all right. We, in the state of transparency, we didn't even know that we weren't going to record that day until we didn't record that day. And we had I guess it's a privilege to listen to other media outlets before we got to decide if we were going to record that day, which is Tuesday. And I'm watching different shows and on ESPN and all across football, and seeing what people are saying and stuff. And I'm not gonna lie, Kadeem, when I think there was I don't know what show it was, or a couple of shows maybe, and this is on Tuesday, they kind of went to other sports, or they kind of started talking about things in football, like Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady or something. And I'm like, I ain't gonna lie, I'm not ready to talk about nothing else yet. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't ready to. I still wanted to know what was going on with Hamlin and the Bills and the game. A lot of stuff. I'm like, nah, bro. I'm not ready to talk about Giannis right now. You know what I'm saying? I'm not even ready. So, and I told you, Kadeem, bro. And again, we don't talk about what we're going to talk about on the podcast. We don't call each other and say, hey, let's talk about this on the podcast. We just, hey, chop it up and you get the organic Go Time Dolphins. So we got to a point where I called you. I'm like, hey, listen, bro, I'm gonna be real with you. I don't know about today, and I'm gonna tell you why. And I'll share it with the listeners. If this was Go Time Vikings or Go Time Packers or Go Time any team in the NFC, I think we may have recorded, maybe, you know what I'm saying, on Tuesday, but it's Go Time Dolphins. And I thought it was too soon, because not only is it Go Time Dolphins, a team in the AFC, it's a team that is in the AFC East with the Bills. And if we're talking about a podcast for the Dolphins, to be very sensitive to what is going on and to Hamlin and the Bills and the Hamlin family and all of that, it's like, were we really going to come on a couple of days ago not knowing his health, his situation, and just talk about like, oh, how the Dolphins going to get to the playoffs? It just wasn't. I couldn't do it. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I just couldn't do it. And even today, it's a few days removed. Adam Schefter has come out and said Hamlin woke up and and he's unable to speak because there's ventilation. He's still being assisted, but he's able to communicate via writing. And the first question he had for the doctors was, did we win the game? And then the doctor responded and said, yes, you won. You won the game of life. And that was right before we recording right now. You know what I'm saying? So when we have these conversations today on this podcast, it's knowing we have the privilege of knowing that he has awakened from, he's still here with us on the planet. Which is crazy to me. Like, it's like when I seen it, we didn't even get to talk to Kadeem about what happened and where did you watch it, and when I seen it and all that good stuff. We're talking about it in hindsight now, with a couple of days removed. So I feel better about it, and to talk about, well, what does this mean now moving forward? Because I wasn't ready to talk about playoff implications and what happens if they don't finish the game, and I wasn't ready before. But now it's like, all right, we can talk about that. It's Go Time Dolphins, the Miami Dolphins podcast that goes not only across the pond but across the world. I'm your boy Charlie Touche. I got my co-host Kadeem Simmons with me. It's always for the fans and by the fans. Your favorite podcast. And Kadeem, in the last 9 months, the city of Buffalo had all kind of stuff happen. I done wrote some stuff down. They had the record-breaking 75 inches of snow. 2 dead in that one in November. Then they had the blizzard, snowstorm. It was like 40 people dead in that one. And that was a couple weeks ago. Now the Hamlin, I don't even know you call it an injury. You know what I'm saying? Like what happened with Hamlin a couple of days ago, and the supermarket massacre, 10 people dead in that. There's a lot of stuff happening in Buffalo in the past year, bro. So Bills Mafia, we here with y'all. We rock with y'all. Y'all know what time it is, man. What you got, Kadeem?
I think, and when I say very easily, I don't mean it would have been as in like, easy, difficult, extremely difficult. It would have been easy for us to sit here on Tuesday and kind of only speak about the injury, because we have a CTE episode every single year. We could have had a second one this year, but kind of brought it out to injuries in general. But at that point, we had no idea what was going to happen. And, we could have recorded that, put it out, and then he takes a turn for the worse. And all of a sudden, it's like, wow, you guys really tried to speculate on this guy itself. The flip side is we could have, addressed it and then spoken about, Dolphins football, spoken about, Byron Jones, Bradley Chubb, or even spoken about, okay, what does this game mean for the Miami Dolphins and their playoff chances? And some shows done that, other shows didn't. ESPN, Pat McAfee, all these kind of shows, they continued. And it's not insensitive of them, but at the same time, there is an element. There will always be someone that turns around and goes, listen, I'm glad you guys are continuing, the world goes on. The fact that when Hamlin woke up, he said, did we win? And I even said to you on the phone, there's an element of, sometimes there's an injury in sport, a very serious one, and the person it happened to, they will turn around and say, keep going, don't stop because of me. I'm just a nobody and stuff like that. But, this injury wasn't just a broken leg or something like that. I'm in a group chat full of old Madden players, and Charlie, I kid you not, this very evening, so as of recording, it now appears that the Buffalo and Cincinnati game had been called off. They're not going to try and replay it, and everyone seems to be like, "That's cool. That's the correct decision to make." How is one guy going to turn around and say that's stupid, and that the Tua injury was more serious and they played on? And I was just like, yo, delete that. And he was like, no. And I just left the chat because it's, one, this guy's not even a Dolphins fan, but like, and I've seen people try and, compare the Dolphins, the Tua's injury to this injury, and the fact they played on. Listen, there's a very legitimate argument to be made that that game should have been called off. You know, like there's levels to injuries. Hamlin essentially died on the pitch, had to be brought back to life. For everyone who watches soccer, Christian Eriksen died on the pitch at last in 2021 at the Euros, had to be brought back to life. That must be one of the most harrowing experiences to see a teammate, you know, a brother in arm, on the floor, lifeless, and there's people saying they should have played on. Like, let's not do this. So, you know, we chose to take a few days away. We'll come back on here, and to be honest, this could be a 2-hour episode because there's so much stuff to get to. There's again the playoff implications, and not in an insensitive way, but you know, looking forward to the paper planes game. What does the game now being called off mean for Miami? There's talks and rumors that there could be 8 teams in the AFC playoff to try and make up for it, and it's same old Dolphins that there could be an 8-team playoff. The Dolphins start 8-3, and the Dolphins can still miss out. And again, you kind of want to laugh and be like, well, of course the Dolphins would miss out in that scenario.
So tell me how I can do. This is exactly why we couldn't have this podcast episode on Tuesday. You know what I'm saying? Because it would have been what y'all say in London, bang out of order. Right? Yo, yeah. That's what you said?
Yeah, bang out of order, yeah.
Why y'all say that?
It's out of order, isn't it? But yeah, the bang, like it's the extra, the boom, it's the yeah, like.
So look, man, yeah, we couldn't have this if we had this episode and talk about what we're talking about on this episode on Tuesday, people would look at us like we were heartless, right? And if you know myself or Kadeem, then you know we're so far removed from that. You know what I'm saying? So but how about this? So now we can actually talk about football, and we will talk about playoff implications, and we will talk about the Dolphins and what this means for the Dolphins. And I do kind of disagree with you, Kadeem. I think the game should be resumed. I don't think they should have played the same day, the same night, but I do think there's a conundrum. Like, yo, we got ourselves in a little pickle here. What's the NFL gonna do? Do you have that conversation on national TV while someone's being hauled off in an ambulance? Probably not, right? So now that we're a couple of days removed, football is still going to be football on Sunday. People will have to start talking about this, and again, that's why I'm more comfortable talking about it now. I'm gonna be real with you. I was still consuming Damar Hamlin coverage before we even started this podcast today. Fins Up Friday. You know what I'm saying? And I'm still like, yo, I still want more of it. Oh, what? Shout out to Rich Eisen. Rich Eisen, that dude. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers on the Pat McAfee show, I want to say a day or two after, and McAfee tried to pivot. And Aaron Rodgers was like, no, I'm not going nowhere. I still want to talk about this, which is the Hamlin thing. And then he tried to pivot again. And then Rodgers said, no, I still want to talk about this. Not in those words, but that's what he said. And he kept talking about it like, nah, this is a frat brother in essence. You know what I'm saying? There's only 1,500 football players in the world in the NFL. You know what I'm saying? And that's one of them. So we're going to talk about him some more. And then it took AJ Hawk to pivot. And then it finally got on. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, everybody's going to have their opinion. But in 40 years, I'll be 40 next year. I'll be 40 next month around this time next month. And everyone knows how big of a football fan I am. And I've never even, you like, yo, it's possible. But you hope you never see it. You know what I'm saying? And then when I seen Hamlin get up from the tackle and then fall, I like, this is bad. Off the bat, there was no give me 9 minutes to digest how bad I think this is. When I seen him stand up, like everything was good, and then he just collapsed, I like, nah. That's not a head injury. This is bad. This is bad. And then once they said CPR, I'm like, oh my goodness. I text some stuff in the group chat. I got my own group chat with the day ones. You know, Kadeem, you're not in that one. So So I texted the day one group chat, and I'm like, "Dang, bro, I'm gonna be real with y'all boys. This don't look good." That's basically what I said, and it just wasn't good. So 40 years, unprecedented. Well, I'm 40. That's what I say. 40 years. So it's unprecedented, and now you and it's crazy because now people done put some tweets together, and the first thing, well, one of the first in the first 10 minutes, I'm like, "Dang, bro, what's up with Cincinnati during primetime games and huge injuries?" Obviously, the Tua injury was there. This injury was there. The Ryan Shazier injury was there, where he's able to walk now, but he wasn't able to walk for a long time. And the massive Antonio Brown concussion hit, the notorious hit from Vontez Burfict to Antonio Brown hit was there too. So that's what I thought in real time. And then now Twitter caught up. Maybe I should be on Twitter more. I don't know. But yeah, man. So you on mute, Kadeem?
No, I'm not. I just didn't say nothing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, man. So, bruh, turning the page a little bit, Kadeem. Oh, shout out to LB. Everyone knows who LB is. LB is in Buffalo right now. He actually was powerless. He had no electricity during the previous blizzard that just happened a couple weeks ago. He's in Buffalo right now, and he just took his own picture of basically what was a fast food chain that had Hamlin on the little fast food billboard thing. I thought it was dope. LB's got a front row seat in Buffalo right now and got a post on how people in Buffalo are feeling right now. So shout out to LB for sharing that in the group chat. We'll share it on the podcast as well. Hopefully, whoever's watching on YouTube, y'all will see that. And if you're not watching on YouTube, follow us on YouTube, share, like, and subscribe at Go Time Dolphins. Kadeem, what does all of this mean now? Because, and I think me and you disagree, which is okay. I think they should resume the game. You think, well, maybe this game should be done. But either way, we have to figure out, what does that mean for the AFC seeding of the playoffs? Now, if you were the Miami Dolphins, Go Time Dolphins, the Miami Dolphins podcast that goes not only across the pond, but across the world, you should have just won the football games and not have to worry about stuff like this, where you'll be locked into a seed and it's like, hey, we're going to the playoffs and we have to focus on football. We got to get our minds right. But now you needed Buffalo to beat certain teams, and this is where we are. Kadeem, you mentioned there's a chance that is being talked about that the NFL is going to allow 8 teams in the playoffs, and it's a possibility. Nothing is concrete yet, and we haven't figured it out. And I'll be real with you, I don't think there's a right answer anywhere. Is there a better answer somewhere? Potentially. But I don't think there's a right answer at all for what we're supposed to do now in the playoffs. So what do you think the NFL is supposed to do with the AFC, Kadeem?
Oh, I am paid nowhere near enough to give a reasonable answer for that. It's like you said, I generally don't think there's a right or wrong. No, there's definitely wrong answers. I don't think there's a right answer to how the NFL navigates the AFC playoff picture. In terms of, do you play Buffalo? Do you play Cincinnati again? I mentioned the Christian Eriksen situation at the Euros. That game was halted, and I believe they played the game again the following day. And again, that was in a knockout competition where they genuinely don't have extra days or extra, or any room for real maneuverability and stuff like that. You mentioned in a private conversation, but not so private that we can't bring it up here, there will be stadiums, there will be NFL stadiums which around a certain date might have other
obligations.
Obligations. Now, to be fair, I would assume between August and February, those stadiums are essentially football only. You might have something during the week, But on between, let's say like Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, those games, those stadiums are strictly football. Because you never know who can reach the playoffs. So what the NFL could do is push everything back a week in terms of, okay, so you have week 18 this Sunday. Next week you have Buffalo v Cincy, and then the playoffs move back a week and the Super Bowl move back a week. However, I would assume that the Super Bowl is so locked in on that date that everything around it, from hotels, flats, all of that kind of stuff, will be very difficult to move.
What's a flat, Kadeem?
A flight.
Oh, I thought you said flats. But
No,
I was going to explain. I was going to have you explain to the American people what a flat is.
Apologies, no, a flight. And a yeah. So could Super Bowl be moved back a week? Possible. Again, I would assume if there was a genuine natural disaster to a stadium or something like that, they would find a way to move it around. And that's not me dismissing what happened to Hamlin, but I would like to think people understand where I'm coming from in that situation.
And again, this is why we didn't have this conversation on a Tuesday, 12 hours after this man almost lost his life, right? So now we're talking about this because the NFL is talking about it too. Like, all right, what are we going to do? Are we going to just end the season right here? Or are we going to try to figure this out? So I rock with you, Kadeem. And I think everyone should know by now that, okay, like, yeah, all right. Yes, we are being very, we want to be considerate and very sensitive to everything that's going on. But at the same time, how do we play football again within the next couple of days? This is realistic. This is something that we have to talk about. So continue, bro.
Yeah. So I think that idea makes sense. When I saw that idea pitched on social media, what I didn't like, and maybe that because of it was in the immediate aftermath, was a certain section of Dolphin fans going, actually, this is great because we can beat the Jets, make the playoffs, essentially get a bye week and get to Chubb, Howard. And it's like, and again, it's one of those things where on Tuesday that we were really thinking about.
Right.
And so you can now see why we kind of pushed it back. Even on a Thursday, is that what you're really thinking about? But again, this is with, the benefit of knowing that Hamlin is awake, he's communicating, and the prognosis is that he's going to have, a full recovery in terms of like his neurological, his lungs will improve and stuff like that. So I don't think, I think that probably seems like the best solution to what to do. But what I will say, and you haven't asked a question, but I'm going to ask this question anyway, because you alluded to it earlier. What it means for Miami and all, if there's an 8th seed, the Miami get in the nicest possible way, you had 16 games to sort this out and be in a situation, and especially at 8-3, to be in a situation where the playoff and your chances of making it were in your hand. I believe, chatting to DraftKings Jason, he said the other day that when we were 8-3, there was a 98% chance that the Dolphins are going to make the playoffs. And again, I remember being on this podcast and coming up to that stretch of games, San Francisco, the Chargers, and Buffalo. And I was like, they aren't must-win games, but you would like to win one. But my mindset was still, these three aren't must-win games because I expect us to beat at least the Packers, at least the Patriots. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. So, in terms of what this means for the Dolphins and all that kind of stuff, it means you get your business done early on in the season. So, like what you said, this is a situation where, say, Buffalo and Cincy don't play. And essentially, it means that Buffalo, when they play New England, can rest their starters because, they know they're not getting the 1 seed or whatever and stuff like that. Miami fans, don't be angry at Buffalo for not playing starters. Be angry at the Miami Dolphins for throwing away an 8-3 lead and then relying on other teams. once you, even if you're not 8-3, once you get to the end of the season and you're relying on other teams to win or other teams to lose to make it in, look at yourself, and surely the conversation is, let's win enough games next year so we don't have to do that. Because again, we beat the Packers, or even scratch that. Say we beat New England on Sunday. We're looking at going. We're not guaranteed, but it's not. We have to win. Does that make sense? So that's a very long-winded answer to only one question. Bro.
You're good, bro. Like, I think everyone understands again by now that it's a conversation that has to be had, or we're just going to end the NFL season today and not talk about football until next year, if that's what we're going to do. You know what I'm saying? So, nah, man, I'm going to be real with you, Kadeem. And this is why I think the game has to be played. This is shout out to Valley Boys Sports on Twitter. They say any Super Bowls won, and I'm gonna leave some of this out, this year is a fraudulent Super Bowl and will not be acknowledged by Valley Boys Sports. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna be real with you. I'm kind of leaning towards that, because now the competition committee has been compromised if we don't play this one game. And it's because you have, and to be honest with you, the Bills of Buffalo are the favorite to be the 1 seed right now in the AFC. If they do not finish this game, KC will get the 1 seed. And then it's a whole conversation of, well, what do we do? There's all kinds of stuff being proposed, Kadeem. And I'm not opposed to, I don't want to say none of it. I am all ears. I want to hear all the ideas, have the conversation. What do we think is best for football, right? How about this, Kadeem? The reason why I think this game should be, and this is why I think the game should be played, and it should be played after week 18. Week 18 is coming up this week. The Dolphins play the Jets. The Bills play the Patriots. The Chiefs play the Raiders, right? We know what happens in week 18. I believe, and whatever ideas you guys got, leave it in the comments. I really want to know everyone's idea. What do you think the NFL should do? Should we play this game? Should we resume this game? Bengals versus Bills? Or should we just not play the game and go to like win percentage to determine playoff seedings, right? So here's what I think. I think we should play week 18. And everything stops after week 18. Season's over. Now we wait a whole nother week, because there's a week of, we could remove the Pro Bowl, right? We don't have to take out the Super Bowl. We don't have to move the Super Bowl week, but we could just remove the Pro Bowl week and we have a 1 week buffer. And that week, after week 18, is where Buffalo resumes the game at Cincinnati, pick up wherever we left off in the time. It's 7-3, the end of the first quarter, play it back from there. Because if we don't, Kadeem, it's all bad. It's already all bad. Let's be clear. It's already all bad. You know what I'm saying? But someone didn't die. You know what I'm saying? And we're lucky that he didn't. And that's why it's still all bad. That being said, if you don't resume this game, we got, shout out to Adam Schefter. He said something, I forgot who he said proposed this, but he said, we don't play the game. Well, he reported that someone had this idea of not playing the game, and the 1 seed will have the decision of having a first round bye or home field advantage throughout. Whichever option the 1 seed goes with, the 2 seed will have the other option. So if the Chiefs decide they want to have home field advantage throughout, then the Bills get the first round bye. I'm like, bro, I don't like none of this, because now it's going to be like, well, why do the Chiefs have to be implicated into all of this, right? Now, and then you can do all the rigmarole and trickle it all the way down to the 7th seed of potentially the Miami Dolphins, which is the exact reason why I was not ready to record on a Tuesday talking about playoff seedings. You know what I'm saying? So now, yes, the Dolphins have a complaint, but it's not as big of a complaint as the number 1 seed and home field advantage and a bye week. You know what I'm saying? It's we could have gotten in the playoffs. Well, you could have won more games too, being the 7th seed. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, you don't have that big of a gripe. So when you hear conversations of the NFL saying, "Oh, let's have 8 seeds," because now it's like, all right, now we covered all bases, almost all bases, because now you have an 8 seed, the team who didn't get outed because of the not finishing the game, they're in now, so they can't complain. However, the teams at the top, they don't have a bye no more. So it's like, and then my thing is, it has to be the whole NFL. It can't just be only the AFC. It has to be the AFC and the NFC. You put 8 teams in the AFC, you got to put 8 teams in the NFC. All right, if you're going to have no bye for the AFC, you have to have no bye for the NFC. The whole playoffs has to look the same. So now we're just trying to figure out what is the best of the worst scenarios. And I am of the belief, Kadeem, where if you just play this game, I think that's the best of the worst, because you still have all of your seedings the right way. Everybody played the same amount of games. You don't have the Chiefs playing 2 more games than Buffalo. How is that fair? You know what I'm saying? I don't think that's fair at all, that the Chiefs have to play 2 more games than Buffalo and then not even have a home field advantage, or have 2 more games than Buffalo and potentially not have a bye. I think that's a compromise. That's a, what's the word I'm looking? It's a conflict, bro. It's just not right. So nah, man, I think you gotta play this game, and it looks like we're not gonna play it. So we don't get paid for it, Kadeem. This could be a 2-hour podcast. And I did want to bring that to the podcast, though. Like, yeah, everyone in the comments, and I guess it's gonna be some lengthy comments, because it's I just tried to talk that out for 5 minutes and I still couldn't get it out really. But what else you got, Kadeem? We could, like Mike Florio, he was talking about it's just a conundrum. I don't even want to go through this. I don't even want, it's too much, bro. It's too much. But go ahead.
It's in terms of the whole asterisk point and stuff like that. I remember when the English Premier League and a lot of soccer leagues across Europe, when COVID struck, and obviously they paused the league, brought back months later, and people were saying, well, whoever wins these competitions in essentially COVID football, there should be an asterisk, because some teams had players who would have missed the rest of the season. They were able to come back healthy. So all of a sudden, prime example, when Man United played Tottenham, that game was meant to be played on a Sunday when football stopped. For Man United, Paul Pogba was injured. For Tottenham, Harry Kane was injured. That game got replayed months later. Both those guys were fit and available. So all of a sudden, it's like, well, hold on. Teams playing Tottenham would have played the Tottenham without Harry Kane. And then it's like, well, hold on. We played you with fans, and now there's no fans.
Mhm.
That's not fair because of home. Home field advantage is somewhat different in the Premier League and stuff like that. It's the same, but it's different. And then in cup competitions, instead of having games over 2 legs and having aggregate scoring, they only had a game over 1 leg. So like, well, hold on, that's not fair. And the games are played in neutral venues. So people were like, people who won those competitions, it doesn't count. And I don't quite agree that whoever wins Super Bowl, there will be an asterisk next to it if this game it doesn't get played. But I do think there will be a lot of people who will look at it and go, something wasn't quite right. And again, that's why I think it's one of the situations where there's no right or wrong answer, because no matter what you do, someone is always going to feel aggrieved. Always.
But you could play the game and back everything up a week, and the only gripe is everyone had a bye, and the top seed had 2 byes. Okay, that's okay with me.
Okay, but then again, so and again, there's so say Miami do make it into playoffs,
7 seed, right?
7th seed, yeah.
Okay,
And they play Cincinnati, for instance, yeah.
sure.
If
No,
there's an
whoa.
extra,
All right. Let's be more realistic. So Miami makes it to the. All right, was the game played or not? Was the you see what
so
I'm
the
saying?
game is played and everything's being pushed back a week.
Okay, so the game was played after week 18,
Yep.
and Cincinnati basically wins, is what you're saying, I think.
Well, I just picked a random team.
All right. How about this? Because I want to make it as realistic as possible.
That's cool.
Buffalo wins the game,
Yeah.
and the Dolphins have to play the Chiefs.
Okay.
All right, let's do it.
So Dolphins win. So Buffalo win. Dolphins play Chiefs.
Yep.
Because there's that extra bye.
Yep.
Miami gets Tua back.
Right.
Miami beats the Chiefs.
Yep.
And then there could be a legitimate argument, which we made. Well, hold on. If you didn't have that bye, you don't have Tua. And I think even the most hardcore Dolphins fan would turn around and say, yeah, the Dolphins probably don't beat the Chiefs unless Tua plays. So all of a sudden, the Chiefs are there going, we might have got an extra bye, but you had an advantage, or you got a player back who wouldn't have been there if we didn't push things back a week. So now we've lost out on a Super Bowl, all because
potential Super Bowl.
Yeah, but you know what I mean, though. And that's one of those things where, listen, people will say, well, if anything, you got Patrick Mahomes, and you know the game is the game.
So,
but you know,
I see where you're going. But here's my thing: you didn't play with 12 men on the field. You didn't play. They didn't make you play at a neutral site. This is another one. The top 3 seeds in the AFC should play on neutral sites. I don't know how we got there, but that's been proposed. So so no one's the 1 seed, and now the 1 and the 2 should play on a neutral site. Like, I don't know. I don't want that. You know what I'm saying? Why are so many teams being? I can't even find a word, bro. But here's my thing, Kadeem. In your scenario where you just said, okay, Tua comes back, all teams have to go through that. Not just one team, not just 2 teams, like Buffalo or KC. You know what I'm saying? Like KC didn't lose the bye, or Buffalo didn't lose home field advantage. The entire NFL is subject to 1 week later. So it doesn't really, someone gets healthy. It doesn't go play in someone's favor or against a whole team because someone missed a bye, as egregious as someone missing a bye or not having a bye or not having home field advantage. Just because someone came back, you still had to play this team regardless. Like, bro, stop acting because you had to play against the quarterback that was injured. Like, I think that's a weak excuse. I ain't even gonna lie to you.
Again, it is a weak excuse, but you can also see why Kansas City would be aggrieved by that.
And you don't think Kansas City would be aggrieved by not having a bye if they become the first seed?
But okay.
But which one? If you ask the Kansas City, if you ask the Chiefs front office, go ahead.
It's one of those situations which you're only aggrieved by it if you lose. Do you know what I mean? So if Tua comes back and the Dolphins still lose,
I disagree.
Okay, no, what I'm saying, like, if Tua comes back and the Dolphins still lose, whoever they play, you don't really care because Tua came back and you won. If Tua come back and you lose, it's like, well, hold on, you shouldn't even be here. It's like the Dolphins.
No, the Dolphins should be there. Tua shouldn't have been there.
Yeah, but I'm saying, yeah. So if I said,
yeah. So here's my thing though, Kadeem. My thing is, if you ask the Kansas City Chiefs, and we're going to use the Chiefs for this example, would you rather have no bye at all and be the 2nd seed, or I'm sorry, no home field advantage for somehow and not play on the neutral site? Because neutral sites are being proposed, right? So would you rather play on the neutral site being a 2nd seed, or would you rather play the Dolphins with Tua, but y'all both get a bye? I think for sure they're going to say, oh, give me the home field advantage, forget Tua. And forget is not going to be the word that they use. Straight up. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, we don't see Tua.
And, if in this scenario, if you ask Andy Reid and every single Chiefs player, they go, is what it is. We're focusing on ourselves. Like, they will give typical coach speak. However, you still be like, that's annoying because the chances of you winning. Then again, I still think the Chiefs will be favourites in that game, but they're definitely going. This became a lot harder when, for whatever reason, and not for whatever reason, and I can't think of a real life or an example.
No, I get it. It's hard.
Yeah,
it's difficult. It's complicated.
Yeah, and again, that's why. Yeah, there's no way about it. It's someone is always going to feel aggrieved. Some are going to feel less aggrieved than others, but it's a situation in which, boy, what do you do?
I promise you this, bro. In the event the NFL makes Buffalo play Cincinnati, which I do not believe this is going to happen. I think it should, because I think this is the easiest path to a true victor, okay, of the NFL. If in the event they add an extra week and they have this week where Buffalo plays Cincinnati, any Kansas City Go Time Chiefs should come on Go Time Dolphins, and we could argue it out when we beat them. Because, bro, y'all acting, bro. You would prefer to play the Dolphins with Tua as opposed to not having a bye and the whole, and including the 8th seed, and no one has a bye week and no one has home field advantage. Who wants to do that, bro? Sign me up for playing Tua. I'm sure they would rather have that instead, bro. I'm just saying. You know what? And we could throw Buffalo in there too, because Buffalo kind of respect Tua now, actually. So remember when I said how all the Buffalo fans was on the Dolphins media availability talking about, oh, Dolphins are here and Tua's legit and we're gonna have to see them for a long time. Congratulations, Dolphins, y'all found y'all quarterback. This is actual Bills fans saying this. You know what I'm saying? So we could replace the Bills with the Chiefs or the Chiefs with the Bills and say the same exact thing. The Bills would much rather have a bye week and then play the Dolphins as opposed to not being the 1 seed at all. I guarantee it.
Possible, yeah. I think, again, I'm only thinking, again, if this was the other way round and Dolphins are playing the Chiefs, still the same scenario. Sure. But in this scenario, Patrick Mahomes is the one out injured, but that 1 week bye, which they would essentially get, brings Mahomes back. You'd be like, well, we're going to beat you anyway. But there's a part of you is like, this is annoying because we could have played.
I don't think so, Kadeem. I think the entire NFL community understands the circumstance. I really do believe that. And shout out to humanity, by the way, because we can never get it right with anything on earth, right? We can never agree all on one thing. We can never get on the same page about anything. But we just seen humanity come together for something like this. And shout out to the NFL community, 98% of them. And we did the right thing. So when it comes back to talking about football again, this is what we're going to get. You know what I'm saying? We're going to get people who disagree with how we should move forward. And I'm okay with that. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, you still got to play football. That's it. Just win the game. How about you just win? You don't have no excuses.
Oh yeah, 100%. If Miami beat San Francisco Chargers, not all of these games, by the way, just one of these games. Give me one win, please. Give me one win.
How about the paper planes when they blew us out when it was a 3-point game and 10 minutes left in the game and we lost by like 30? How you do that?
But yeah, before we, so there's some news which as we was talking happened. The Miami Dolphins announced that Eric Fisher had been placed on IR. Exactly. And the Dolphins have picked up tackle Jerron Christensen. So that's the last. Sorry, Jerron Christian. Jerron Christian. I can't get the name right. Jerron Christian. Drafted by Washington in 2018 in the 3rd round, has also already played for the Texans and the Chiefs. So most recently with the Chiefs, he was waived 2 days ago when they activated Nicole Hardman. And yeah,
Per Barry Jackson, Teddy Bridgewater was only seen throwing short passes off to the side at practice, short passes. And then a couple hours later, per Barry Jackson, Teddy Bridgewater stayed after practice and was throwing longer passes with a trainer. Correct me if I'm wrong, Kadeem. In the games that Tua did not play in, the backup who was meant to start did not finish that game. Is that accurate?
yeah, no backup has finished a game in which they started.
Meaning Teddy did not finish against the Jets.
Nope.
And right. So Teddy didn't finish against the Jets. Skyler came in.
Yeah.
And then Skyler was supposed to start against Minnesota. And then Skyler got hurt. Teddy came in. And what else we got after that? Who's next? Is it just the
Patriots, I believe.
Just the Patriots? That's it?
Yeah, because Tua missed Tua would have played that
Green Bay. Yeah, right. Yeah. So now Teddy starts, gets injured, Skyler comes in. So we got the Jets game. The whole Jets game. Now Skyler, well, he hasn't announced a starter. I don't think McDaniel hasn't announced a starter.
He hasn't, no.
Okay, so we don't have an announced starter, but Skyler was taking first team reps. We're running long. We ain't even get into no huddle yet. You got something else before we get into no huddle, Kadeem? Forgot we were supposed to do no huddle. It's crazy.
Well, you know what? It's not even that. I feel like there's genuine stuff which I want to address.
Yeah, let's do it, bro.
But the thing, it could be a 2-hour episode. That's why I was like, so my issue is the stuff I want to address this side of the Jets game. I don't want to play the Jets and then have these kind of discussions. For instance, there's a article from Armando Salguero who essentially says that if the Dolphins lose to the Jets, Coach McDaniel, Josh Boyer, and Chris Greer will be on a hot seat. Now, in my opinion, this has come about because once again, Sean Payton and Jim Harbaugh are flirting with the NFL, and they're going, "Hey, we might join." And everyone knows that Dolphins owner Stephen Ross wants both of those. Like, he's not ever going to let it go until they retire. And even then, he's talking like, "Hey, do you mind coming out of retirement and playing?" Or coaching, I should say. Jim Harbaugh released a statement late Thursday, essentially saying, "While I can't predict the future, I expect to be here in Michigan in 2023," which essentially means to me, he said, "Listen, I'm not doing a whole summer with this. I'm not going nowhere. Stephen Ross, stop calling my phone. It's not that deep. I'm staying in Michigan." The Sean Payton situation is a different one, I guess. But in my opinion, that's where this whole all three of those guys are on a hot seat, especially Mike McDaniel. Him going 8-3 in his rookie season and potentially missing out on the playoffs, in my opinion, isn't hot seat. Doesn't make him on the hot seat. In my opinion, I think there'll be a conversation to have, like, "Yo, listen, where did it go wrong?" But I think that would happen regardless of what happened this season. That makes sense. You know, there's always going to be a conversation, a postseason analysis. Have you heard or read what Josh Boyer said on Thursday?
I heard about it.
So essentially, I don't know if he was asked about his future, but he essentially said, "I don't know what the future brings. You know, I'm preparing like I prepare normally, as long as I'm better than I was yesterday." And essentially, it's one of those things in which I took that, and I know a lot of other Dolphins fans on social media, they all took that to be, yeah, this is someone who essentially knows he's going to lose his job. And again, we had a very long discussion about this. Myself, you, 5 Yard Lee, and DraftKings Jason. we probably will have this conversation again on air, so I'm not going to really delve into that. Where or the problems of this defense and whose fault it is that they're playing this badly, I don't think it's just on Josh Boyer. I don't think it's just on the injured players. I think it's a combination of both. And I don't want to steal your take, but essentially, we said we can't assess Tua when he's thrown to practice squad receivers. This Dolphins defense is essentially playing with practice squad DBs. That's in no way disingenuous or I meant to be disrespectful to Kader Kohu, Keon Crossin, Noah Igbenogany, anyone else who have played as a DB in this defense, while the likes of Byron Jones, friend of the podcast, Brandon Jones has been out. But this isn't the same defense which Brian Flores, Joe Alexander, and Josh Boyer coach over the past few years. And while Josh Boyer has 100% made mistakes, there's been times where you can just got to go, listen, it's a team's best receiver against, Kieran Crossan. And at that point, it's like, just don't mess up, I guess. So what do you make of Boyer's comments, and what do you make of the potential of Chris Greer, Josh Boyer, and Mike McDaniel on the hot seat?
But was that take in the movie? What was that? Talladega Nights, where Ricky Bobby says something. I forget what he says. He says, I don't mean to be disrespectful. And then he says something disrespectful. Oh, I forgot. What was
you asked it before, and I couldn't find it then, and I haven't
Dang, bro. Oh man, it's so. I need that right now. So someone hit me up in the comments. Tell me what the line is. But basically, I think Ricky Bobby said something like, "No disrespect intended," or something like that, and then he's disrespectful. Kadeem says, "Not to steal your take." And then steals the take. Like he could have just said, well, hey, what was your take on this, Charlie? You feel me? But he's like, no, not to steal your take, but I'm riding with it anyway.
But I gave you the credit. I didn't try and steal it as my own. I was like, this is I should have said, I'm giving you credit. That's what I should have said as opposed to sorry to steal your take before stealing your take. So I apologize.
It's cool. No, but really, I think we should have addressed that earlier in the season too, not just in the group chat that we had, Kadeem. Realistically, I was the voice of you can't judge Tua with practice squad receivers. Not only can you not judge Tua with practice squad receivers, you can't judge Chan Gailey on Tua and what Chan Gailey has to work with a 5-16 team or whatever the record is. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, this is not the team to assess anyone with. You know what I'm saying? On so. Yeah, man, it's the same thing with the defense. How can I assess the defensive coordinator? Although I do believe he should get most of the blame, and I think he should be gone. That is my take. But I like to be like, I'm very rational, you know what I'm saying? And I could play both sides of the fence here and say, nah, let's be real. Is it Josh Boyer's fault that he's playing with essentially all these backups, bro? Kader Kohu, undrafted. Keon Crossan came in only for special teams. This matter of fact, we could make the comparison, Kadeem. Keon Crossan is the Mac Hollins of the defense. Mac Hollins was essentially a special teamer that was getting significant snaps on offense as a receiver. Keon Crossan is a special teamer that gets significant snaps on defense now. Like, bro, I don't know, Kadeem. Like, again, if I had to make a assessment myself, and I kind of have to because we have a podcast and I should say my opinion, I think Boyer should go. But at the same time, I can't just put it all on Boyer. Like, so to answer your question about how I feel about Mike McDaniel potentially being on a hot seat and Chris Greer and Boyer, basically we're gonna clean house. Basically, hey, this is it. We're cleaning the house. What do I think about it? I disagree, Kadeem. I don't think we should clean house. And I'm gonna be fair. I didn't think we should have moved on from Flo. And I thought Flo won more games with less talent. And I thought Flo was actually a good coach. I said he was a great coach. I think he was a good coach. You know what I'm saying? I think Flo was definitely a good coach with potential of being a great coach. Now, my thing is, Flo shot himself in the foot with other stuff. Now, I am okay with letting Flo go because of the other things. And I'm definitely okay with that. I don't want to make it seem like, oh, we shouldn't move on for Flo. We shouldn't move on for Flo if it was only football. All right. If it was only football, no, we shouldn't move on for Flo, but it was not only football. So therefore, he had to go. All right. That being said, do I think we should potentially move on from Mike McDaniel or Boyer or Chris Greer? No, I don't. I think I was, I don't want to say one of the first, but before the internet really started going after Sean Payton, when we moved on from Flo, I would like to think we were one of the first podcasts to say, yo, what's up with Sean Payton? I don't think it's realistic, but make it happen. And it turns out it was a possibility. You know what I'm saying? As unrealistic as it was at the time, turns out the Dolphins were actually thinking about it. I'm like, no, they're doing something right. So if you think about it, Kadeem, I don't even know if Mike McDaniel, although we love him, I love Mike McDaniel now. I don't even think Mike McDaniel was the first or the second choice for the Miami Dolphins. You know what I'm saying? We remember when we had the who's gonna be the quarterback. We got all these lists of coaches. We got who's gonna be the coach. We had a whole list of coaches and brought in all kind of coaches and talked about all kind of coaches. And Dayball went to New York and made the playoffs, by the way. And Dayball turned us down. You know what I'm saying? And then the word was Dayball doesn't believe in Tua. Like, you know, the internet run with it, whatever they want to run with. You know what I'm saying? And then shout out to Bill Belichick. Oh, congratulations, coach. heard you got the Giants.
Bill Belichick found a way to screw the Miami Dolphins out of a first round pick.
Hey, Bill Belichick was in his cell phone talking about, watch this. Like, yo, not only am I going to get the Giants, I'm going to get the Dolphins. I'm going to get everybody with this one text. Congratulations, coach. Congratulations, Brian. Hey, shout out to Bill Belichick, though, for not having Brian Flores as Black Brian and Brian Dayball as White Brian in his phone. Shout out to Bill Belichick, dog. Now, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's such a thing, bro. So
can I just say, you don't even know he doesn't have that. He could have that and still be like, you know what? I'm really gonna get these guys. I know exactly who I'm texting right now. Like, again, it's one of those. I've never done it, but nobody get the hey big head text.
Yeah,
and it's like, oh, I didn't mean to message you. No, genuine story. Hannah's sister.
Mm-hmm. Your fiance, Hannah.
Yeah, her husband.
Mm-hmm.
So they went on a few dates. Hannah's sister was like, thanks, but no thanks, not going to work out. Mm-hmm. And then months later, he messaged her, but accidentally messaged her, messaged someone else, and the rest is history. And he is adamant he meant to message someone else. And Hannah's sister's like, I'm not stupid. And then he meant to message me. Don't even try that.
Hold on, so it worked out. Now they're together again.
Married, got twins.
Kadeem, you telling me you never text a chick? Oh, my bad. So I texted the wrong person. I'm sorry.
No, I genuinely haven't.
Kadeem, I intentionally, I'm going to be very careful here before I get hit with some tags, right? I am calculated when it comes to, dang, I ain't gonna lie, I kind of didn't want to rock with this chick, but after some time, maybe I was wrong. You know what I'm saying? And instead of coming back with the, oh, I was wrong, you know what I'm saying? Maybe I just wanted to, I might shoot my, hey, yeah, man, bring me back something from Pollo. That's a food chain in South Florida. Bring me back something from whatever the store. Oh, my bad. I'm sorry, that wasn't for you. Oh yeah, quite a bit. I ain't gonna lie, Kadeem. More times than I can count, if I'm being honest with you. For sure.
That's the difference between me and you. That's why I'm not shooting my. That's why I'm not shooting my shot no more. That's why. That's why. In a few months, I'm hanging up my jersey in the stadium, like we do my little. That's why. That is why.
Kadeem got a ring and he's hanging it up. Like, yo, that's how you do it, Kadeem. Do it after your first ring, hang it all up. I'm still shooting my shots, and I'm sending hey big head text on purpose by accident. That's what we call it, on purpose by accident.
But yes, so listen, I wouldn't put it past Coach Belichick to have however he wants to label the two Bryans, but still accidentally on purpose message Brian Flores. I'm just saying. Listen, one's a cheater, always a cheater.
Oh man, nah, I feel you. So now, man, I don't think. Do you think we should move on from Coach McDaniel? Like, so, all right. So let's be real. Let's put it on the. Shout out to everybody rocking with us. Go Time Dolphins. This is the overtime version. We got bonus time. This is the overtime episode. We had to cover a lot, and you still rocking with us. We're going to get into no huddle in a second. I don't believe we should move on from Coach McDaniel. I don't believe we should move on from Chris Grier. And I still got the hat on, 2-2. And I do believe we should move on from Josh Boyer. Do you think we should move on from anyone?
Josh Boyer, and also, in my opinion, the special teams coach. And
I agree. I concur.
I can see people who want to make the argument that Chris Grier should go. But it's also one of those things where, for anyone who says, well, he drafted Noah, he drafted Liam Eichenberg, he drafted X, Y, and Z, you just turn around and go, but there's a reason why we have Jalen Phillips and Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill and Teron Armstead and Tua and all that kind of stuff. And I think once you get into a situation where you fire Chris Grier, but Mike McDaniel goes, that's when you get a whole, the new GM comes in who didn't pick the head coach. And
you mean Mike McDaniel doesn't go?
Yeah.
Right.
And so the Dolphins bring in a new GM who didn't hire Mike McDaniel, and then where's the power? And then if the Dolphins have a bad start or even an okay start, the GM was like, well, I'm going to get rid of him because he wasn't my guy. Yep. Now I'm going to bring in my guy. And to me, it's a dynamic I don't want the Dolphins to have going forward. Sometimes you generally can't avoid it. But in my opinion, it's not something I would do next year. However, I do think it becomes a point where our draft picks, we need to do better. And again, I'm not saying I don't think we've done bad, but I think even our draft picks last summer, we've barely seen, like, we have, like, I forget that Channing Tindall even plays for the Dolphins. Where's Channing Tindall? Eric Ezukanma hasn't seen the field this season. We can speculate why and whether it actually might be a good thing. And again, if you're Eric Ezukanma, are you really going to get in ahead of Jalen Waddle and all these other people? However, it's one of those things where if you know that, could you have made better picks? And again, right. There will be there will be a week where we generally will have this discussion, but that's just my opinion as to why I can see why people want to get rid of him.
I feel you. I'm cool with all those takes, but you took a shot at my dog. I gotta shoot back real quick. I don't think Tindall was a pick to start this year. I don't think Eric Ezukanma was a draft pick to start this year either. You if anything, you had Cedric Wilson, Tyreek Hill, and Waddle. So I don't believe Eric Ezukanma was supposed to start this year. It's nice if they do. All right. So what's going to happen with Van Ginkel? What's going to happen with Duke Riley? You know what I'm saying? You had a year built in for friend of the podcast, Myles Gaskin, to watch from the sideline. This year is built. It was built in for them to Tindall and Ezukanma to not have to start right away. That's called development. You hope they can learn from the sideline, and then now when it is their time, they come in with the what they call it. I forgot how it's already. Whatever, they come in ready to go. But so my Chris Greer pushback real quick, not to go too long, and we will have plenty time in the offseason. Hopefully, the offseason doesn't creep up on us too soon. But my pushback to Chris Greer is, you can't put the best Miami Dolphins team on paper together, and then when they don't execute, put that on the GM. Everyone has their job. You know what I'm saying? So, and not only did he put the best team on paper together, he also had more draft picks to work with. And then the owner lost the first round pick. You see what I'm saying? So I can't go with Chris Greer because we've sat here and said, yo, this is the best team the Dolphins have ever had on paper, ever. So since they underperform, when we seen what it looks like when they perform at their peak, that's not on the GM. That's on the coach first. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to McDaniel. I want McLovin. You know what I'm saying? I want to keep McLovin. So when he does have this thing, 3 in a row, 5 in a row, 5 in a row, yo, you got to fix that. That's not on the GM. You know what I'm saying? Now, what is on the GM is depth, maybe. Yeah, okay, we're not as deep as we would like to be, but at the same time, look how well we were performing, right? So, okay, if you want to get on the DM for depth, I can go for that, but not at the collapse of the team not performing well because the coach isn't putting the team in the best position to win. Again, I still want both of them. I want Chris Greer and I want McLovin on the team for sure.
Yeah. And again, very, very quickly, people angry that we traded a first round pick for Bradley Chubb in the nicest way possible. The way the 49ers were trending at that time and where they are now, what's better for the Dolphins, not just this year, but next year as well? Bradley Chubb or a first round pick, probably going to be in the late 20s.
Well, it might be in the 30s.
Yeah. And genuinely, okay, I'm not saying that you can't get a genuine stud at, edge rusher who falls that far. But at that point, you really are riding your luck as opposed to a surefire thing.
So it's crazy how this man could turn a pick into Jalen Waddle, a pick into Tyreek Hill, one pick into Bradley Chubb, all this more cap, you know what I'm saying? More cap space. Yeah, it's crazy how someone could be so successful and then you're still not good enough. Like, all right, go ahead.
And very quickly, you say a pick. I believe it's all one pick. The one pick the Dolphins traded.
Oh, not only that, right? Yeah. So it's one pick.
So one pick
that became 3 picks. That's still this, like, bro, that's crazy. It's crazy. But go ahead.
No, that's again, this could be a 2-hour podcast. I'm very aware we are an hour in. We haven't got to know huddle. We haven't given our prediction for the Jets.
This is making up for the lack of an episode that we didn't have on Tuesday. So everybody was like, yo, we missed our GTD fix. Y'all get the extra overtime GTD today.
Is what it is, man. Is what it is.
No huddle.
No huddle. So
as I go to the headphones.
The Miami Dolphins, I'll start with the injury report. We'll then do the weather. So, injury report as of Thursday: Teron Armstead, Eric Fisher, Kendall Lam, Tua Tagovailoa, and Cedric Wilson Jr. did not participate. Teddy Two Gloves, Bradley Chubb, Xavier Howard, Alec Ingold, Raheem Mostert, Eric Rowe, and Jalen Waddle were limited. Friend of the podcast, Javon Holland, Kader Kohu, Jaden Phillips were full participants. And on Wednesday, Melvin Ingram did not participate, but that just was on his vet rest. Notable guys for the paper planes, the Jets we want to call them. Mike White was on there on Wednesday as a full participant with a rib injury. He is now limited on Thursday. LaMarcus Joyner did not participate. George Fant did not participate. And Dwayne Brown did not participate. They are noticeable guys on the injury report for the Jets. What would you like first? Would you like Celsius or would you like Fahrenheit?
Let me get the Fahrenheit.
Fahrenheit. So the weather on Sunday is 79 degrees Fahrenheit. What is that in Celsius?
79 degrees Fahrenheit in Celsius. When was the last time we converted Fahrenheit to Celsius on the podcast? It's been over a month, Kadeem, since we done that. Because we broke in the last time we did Fahrenheit to Celsius, we explained how to do it. This is bad. I might blow this one. So I want to say divided by 2 is basically 40. So it's 39 and a half. And minus 30. So it's 9 degrees Celsius?
No.
What?
79 degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh, wait. Let me do it. Let me get it back. Nah, all right. I blew it. Nah, what is it?
26.
Yeah, so I did it backwards. I was supposed to minus it and then divide it. So I blew it. Y'all heard me. Y'all get to learn from my mistakes. Hey, so hold on. So in London, y'all got the please excuse my dear Aunt Sally?
No.
All right, so that's a math thing. I'm not even a math person, so I'm not even going to introduce that to the podcast. But go ahead.
I was just going to say it's funny before I hand it over to you for no fancy no more. But so in the UK, you stop doing compulsory maths at 16. After that, if you want to continue doing maths, you take it as a separate subject, and they're looking to bring it in up until 18. What age did you stop doing compulsory maths?
I ain't gonna lie, Kadeem. I never did math ever. That's why I'm so bad at it.
Really?
Yeah, man. Like, listen, bro. Me and math, it's not a good thing, bro. Like, and it's crazy because I've always been an entrepreneur my whole life, so I always needed it too. I always needed it, and then I had to go back to, I don't even know. You know what I'm saying? I had to channel the only lessons that I've ever remembered, and I've had some jobs because I travel for work. Once upon a time, and I had some jobs where this is true story. I'm talking about aerospace engineering type stuff, and I had to use the best math I had. Then I had to go to I need to learn this before I take this job type stuff. So yeah, man. Hey, stay in school, fellas, ladies and gentlemen. I did stay in school, but I'm just saying, pay attention. You feel me? Because you're gonna need some of that stuff.
So then, one last question for me, genuine question. So in the UK, at least, I don't know about other countries, English, math, and science are compulsory subjects. You have to do those 3 subjects up until 16. And then at 16, you can technically leave school and start work. That's how it works in the UK. Is that not the same?
You got all through grade 12 here in the States.
So you have to do English, math, and science up until grade 12?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I just wanted to ask. Okay, cool. So I take it fantasy season is done.
Yeah, there's some leagues that they might play in the week 18, which I advise you not to play in the week 18 because then you're gonna have to find waiver wire players, who's gonna bench their players. Maybe I gotta find a backup. And I'm be real with you, if you're one of those leagues, and this is the only fantasy advice I'll give you this week, if you're one of the leagues where you have to play week 18 for your championship, one, I advise you to find another league or go to your commissioner and tell them, yo, we don't want to play week 18 no more, because you have to start finding players for week 18 championships weeks before week 18, because there's going to be backup players and teams who are sitting players and teams who don't want players to get hurt for the playoffs. So any league that I'm in or affiliated with, we play our championship a week or 2 before week 18. So you still get a full roster of people. So yeah, there won't be any more fantasy football on GTD, but easy money. Oh, now I'm gonna be real with you. Some of these easy money weeks, and we'll have a recap at the end of the season, how good we've done or how bad we've done. I guess it's good because I think I missed 5 weeks. I lost 5 weeks out of the 18, maybe 6. You know what I'm saying? So in reality, real life, as a bettor, I would like to stay away from bets. Not only do I stay away from bets, I stay away from weeks. Like, yo, I'm not betting anything this week. And that's a real thing. So my advice is always hedge your bets. Don't bet just because, you know what I'm saying? Be calculated on your bets. Like, you know what? I see this week is coming up. I'm going to wait to bet on that week alone. So every 2-3 weeks, I'll put in, oh, yeah, that's a good bet right there. Let's go in this week, right? This week, Kadeem, just because we have GTD, I'm going to find a pick of the week. But this is a week I would stay away from it. You see what I'm saying? And because none of the props are out yet on DraftKings. Shout out to DraftKings Jason. We rock with him. He still rock with us. And someone asked about, hey, where's DraftKings Jason? DraftKings Jason is busy. You know what I'm saying? He's DraftKings Jason. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna have him back on the podcast soon though. My easy money pick of the week, because there are no props. There's no exotics this week. Tua is not playing. Can't bail us out this week. I think Tua only let us down 1 week. That's it in easy money picks of the week. The easy money pick of the week is Miami Dolphins money line. Miami Dolphins just got to win the game. It's minus 135 right now. The line started at -1 Miami, moved to -1 New York. Then it went to -2.5 New York, meaning the Dolphins were the underdog. And now it's -2.5 Miami. I'm taking the.
Sorry, it's now what?
-2.5 Miami.
Meaning what?
Meaning Miami's favorite now.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
So Miami's favorite again. I haven't seen a line swing like this in a long time on a Miami Dolphins game. It's just swinging, and you would think the Dolphins bail you out. And this is why I wouldn't bet on this game, because I'm a Dolphin fan. So I would hope to remove my emotions, but just for my own sanity, I want to be able to watch the game and not think about nothing else, but I hope the Dolphins win. As opposed to, I put money on this game. How come the Dolphins didn't bail me out? Nothing like that. So if you're going to go ahead first, take the Dolphins money line, and either you win big or you lose big. The Dolphins get to the playoffs and you win bread, or the Dolphins lose your bread and you're going to have a long off season. That's all I got.
Oh boy. Before we move into bonus time, again, did you see what Sam Madison said about Byron Jones?
I didn't. I seen it, but I did not read it. Actually, there was too much content, bro. I'm telling you, I was soaking up all the Hamlin content, then the playoff content. Well, what's gonna do? Are we making up this game and stuff? So yeah, man.
So essentially, what he said, and I want to get the quote exactly because I don't want to paraphrase what he said, but it wasn't the most. It wasn't the most impressive, or it didn't place Byron Jones in the best of lights. So as I let my computer load and I try and find it, so literally got this a lot earlier, to be fair. What he essentially said was, why can't I find this? Right, found it essentially. He said, do you know what? Can you take it for a sec while I try and find this? I'm doing really bad, sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good, bro. Like, sometimes you got to hand the ball off, and that's what we do. We run the reverse. Oh, like Uno. So I was playing Uno. I ain't gonna lie. I was playing Uno over Christmas with the in-laws, and I did the holidays out there, and we're playing Uno. Now, everyone has their own Uno rules, and I don't know how they play Uno in London, but I know how we play Uno in the States, and it's like it depends on whose house you're at. It's house rules. I got a question for everyone. Leave it in the comments. When you play Uno, are you allowed to play 4 different threes? If they're different colors, can you put like a yellow 3, a green 3, a blue 3, and a yellow 3, or 2 yellow 3s, and throw them all down at the same time? Is that allowable in your Uno circles? Or are you like, nope, you can only play 1 card at a time, 1 3 at a time? You know what I'm saying? If it's blue, it's blue, right? So I play with stacks. Like, yo, if I got 7 7s in my hand, I could throw all 7s down. Some houses don't operate like that. You know what I'm saying? And so when I said reverse, Some people play where you can't even put down multiple reverses. So I'm not a fan of that, and I'm not a fan of the I got to draw 2. But if I throw this draw 2, then the next person got to draw 4, and then the next person got to draw 6. I'm not a fan of that. But you found it, Kadeem?
I do. So per Barry Jackson, per Barry Jackson, Sam Madison said on Byron Jones, he could have ... helped. Injuries come up. Some people fight through them, some don't. And people kind of saw that and was like, is Sam Madison essentially saying that Byron Jones is soft and could have played this season, but didn't want to? Barry Jackson says, and I'll read what he said verbatim. I initially thought Sam wasn't indicating Jones because of my years covering Sam and familiarity with his speaking patterns. I no longer feel that way about Sam comment and thus deleted earlier tweet with that interjection. So the reason I couldn't find it, because when Barry Jackson tweeted that initially, he kind of put in brackets, I don't think Sam Madison is saying that about Byron Jones. So I was like, hold on, the tweet I'm looking for is no longer there. And Barry Jackson essentially said, I no longer think that what I assumed Sam Madison was saying, he was saying that. Now, as a journalist, you shouldn't really try and do that kind of stuff, if that makes sense. Kind of take what he said verbatim and have a follow-up question, say, do you mean X or do you mean Y? What do you think Sam Madison meant by that? And it's a very difficult question to ask because you weren't there, you didn't hear the context or anything like that.
So I'm not going to answer what I think he meant about it because I don't know. But I will say this. I dislike quotes. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't know the context of the answer, the voice inflection, you know what I'm saying? The tone of voice when he said this, and it could be taken out of context. But if I'm taking just the quote at face value that Sam Madison said, Byron Jones could have gave us something, is what it sounds like he's alluding to. Byron Jones could have gave us something. Yo, I say it all the time. That's the Pat Riley, school of Pat Riley. Like, yo, if you say you're gonna give me everything, let me get everything. If you could give me 20%, let me get that 20%. Cause your 20% might be better than Keon Crossing. I'm just saying. You know what I'm saying? So off the top rope, you know what I'm saying? Strays. But
so for Barry Jackson also, so I'm going through Barry Jackson's tweets. He also says, though Dolphins don't generally permit IR players to speak, they would have permitted Byron Jones to speak with reporters if he had chosen to. Byron, a thoughtful guy, hasn't shown interest in doing that, which is very much his right. If he's cut, big cap hit unless post June 1. Barry Jackson also says, a Dolphins DB asked by Joe Shad about impact Byron's absence had on Dolphins defense said, next question. Now, again, this is a lot of...
Hold on, who's that next question?
The Dolphins DB. He didn't name that DB.
Oh, he didn't? Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So there was a DB that got a question about Byron Jones, and that DB said, next question.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, again, it's telling. This might be a thing where if the Dolphins move on from Byron Jones, it all gets, everything comes out of there. We might hear something from our sources and stuff like that. But my opinion right now, I can't imagine Byron Jones is here next year because right now things are looking very, very sketchy, in my opinion.
Whether we know if Byron Jones is healthy or not, healthy enough to play or not, in my opinion, I still don't think he's here next year. I don't think you can risk another season on the health of this person who was supposed to be healthy at the beginning of the season. So he's not healthy enough to play 18 weeks later? How am I supposed to put my trust in that next year if I'm a GM or a coach or assistant coach? I can't do it. You know what I'm saying? So this is business. And now you have to weigh out your losses. Like, if I move on from Byron Jones now, how much is it gonna hurt? And I'm being real with you, Kadeem. When I said we should trade for Asante Samuel Jr., it was, we got corners. Why are we giving up a 1 for a corner? Like, bruh, do we got corners? Xavier Howard, Byron Jones. Like, suddenly this window is like, yo, the window kind of hard to, you know what I'm saying, get back open. You know what I'm saying? That's all I'm saying. So this is the window. You got this year, you got next year, and I don't want to say you got the year after that, but this is our window.
That window is looking, very
need some window wiper. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's I don't think dressing room is very interesting. Very interesting to say the least.
I didn't know where you was going, Kadeem. My bad. Y'all know what time it is. My bad. What's Kadeem doing? I look like you was looking for something, bro. Y'all know what time it is. Stay positive. Test negative. For Kadeem Simmons, I'm Charlie Touche. Thank you for tuning in this time. Make sure you catch us next time on Go Time. Already.
Gotta make them lose their mind when it's your time. And it's show time. Going all out when it's go time. I ain't wasting no time. Gotta make them lose their mind when it's show time. Cause it's your time. Lay it on the line when it's go time. Don't waste no time. Gotta make them lose their mind when it's your time. And it's show time. Going all out when it's go time. I ain't wasting no time.
So there was a lot of tight end talk as well. Tight end coach John Embry said on Hunter Long, football is important to him. There were times I wondered about that. Sometimes wondered about preparation, how hard he prepared and stuff like that, which could be why we haven't seen much of him this season. Again, he's in his second year now, and we're kind of having these conversations a bit not that good. But the one for me which is really interesting is there was stuff about Mike Gesicki and how I think Dermot might have had to help him throughout the season because he was essentially down. And you can imagine, you can understand why, but also that they did say he's put in a lot of work to improve off the ball. So ahead of what could be his last game for the Dolphins, how many targets do you reckon Gesicki's going to see on Sunday?
Over 4. Maybe we could have found a prop bet for Gesicki, if I'm being honest with you. I'll pull it back up on DraftKings, but actually they don't have any receiving props up yet. But over 4 because tight end is a quarterback's best friend. And you're going to have backup quarterbacks in, so they're going to be looking for tight ends. And I think it's unfair on Hunter Long because he wasn't drafted by this regime. And it's an art. You know what I'm saying? Like, music is an art. Drawing is art. You know what I'm saying? Drafting players is an art. That's why these people get paid so much to go scout and draft. And when you have to try to find what this other person was seeing in this piece of art, well, not the player, but the art of drafting, it's like, I don't see what he's seeing. You know what I'm saying? So in music, Kadeem, it's like me having a beat. I'm a music artist, I'm a musician, I like this beat, and I try to get this beat to a different artist, and then this artist like, I don't really rock with this. You know what I'm saying? This is not what I see. We don't see the same thing for this beat. Or, for example, someone painting a picture. Picture's not painted all the way yet. And the next painter comes in like, I don't see what you see. You feel me? And lastly, a GM to one, a coach to one coach, like, I don't see what you've seen in this. You see what I'm saying? So it's doesn't mean Hunter Long isn't decent or good or trash. We don't know what Hunter Long is. And if I'm being honest with you, we may never find out what Hunter Long is. It's just an unfortunate situation for Hunter Long. Oopsie.